So come into your comfortable seat and take your strap. If you've got a long strap, you can like double it over and clip it together or tie it together. If you've not, don't worry. And we're going to take the strap around the back of our body underneath our armpits. Some of us have done this before. If your strap is long enough, you can cross it across your body and you can kind of tie it like that and hook your thumbs. If it's not, don't worry. And if you've got something that's really stretchy, try and make it quite taut against the back of your body. Okay, now from here, don't worry about the strap. Just keep it there, keep holding onto it with your hands and see if you can allow your shoulders to relax, let your eyes closed and feel perhaps a small amount of resistance from the strap, but nothing too intense just yet. And allow your breath to come naturally to you. Tap into any sounds you hear around you. And tap into the volume of your breath. How deep are you breathing into your body? And now from here, if the strap is long enough to cross across your torso, do that and then hook your thumbs into opposite sides of the straps. Otherwise, just hold on to the right side and the left side and pull the strap just a little bit tighter along the back of your body, still snug underneath your armpits so that you can feel a bit of resistance. Now from here, start to breathe as deeply as you can into the sides of the strap. You can go at your own pace, but I would recommend slow if possible. Continue to breathe like this. See if you can push further into the straps, like either making the strap a little tighter or taking your breath a little deeper into your lungs. And this class tonight is going to be centered around the theme of curiosity. Sounds a little vague, and that's very much purposeful. We're going to explore, really simply, what our body is feeling like throughout the class, and what our mind is feeling like, what emotions are trickling in and out of our body, and what thoughts are passing through. But for now, we're just going to begin with the kind of bodily sensation. So how is your body reacting to this very small exercise? Breathing into the strap. Allowing your breath to expand out to the sides and through the back of your body. Okay, for the next 2 breaths, see if you can expand your breath even further and try and breathe through the back of your body as much as possible. Perhaps you can hear the strap tightening. Okay. Now from here, you can keep your eyes closed or you can open them. We're going to move the strap a little lower down. So instead of being at the top of our chest, underneath our armpits, we're going to move the strap down so it's below our breasts and to the sides of our rib cage at the very bottom, if possible. And now you'll notice that the shape of the strap changes and the tension of the strap changes depending on our body shape. So if you are able to tie the strap across your body now, you can go for that. If not, you can still stay with the strap by the sides of your body. maybe taking it a little tighter, and maybe even shifting how your hands are gripping onto the strap. See if you can let your shoulders melt before we begin this exercise a little lower down. So Kirsty, we've got a strap around the bottom part of our rib cage right now. Okay. Begin this exercise again. Start breathing deep into your lungs, and what is it that you notice as you do so? What shifts are taking place? Are you finding this challenging? Or does this feel more natural? Okay. Last 2 breaths here. And then for the last little portion of this pranayama, we're going to take the strap all the way down to our lower spine, to our sacrum. So the space just above your bum, wrapping it around the side of your hips. So we're trying to like encompass our pelvic girdle here. And for most of us, that's going to shift the length of the strap again. Again, just depending on the shape of your body. Try and get a good grip. Now for this one, you're going to need to be a little tighter because it's a lot harder to feel the sensation. So try and really press the strap against you. You might feel even some tension in your shoulders. And then once you're ready, start to breathe into the strap. And for some, you might just feel barely even a whisper of your breath down here. And for others, it can be quite dramatic. And when we breathed initially with the strap around our chest, we were kind of embracing our breathing organs. So we were feeling something more voluminous. But now the idea is just to see how the breath reverberates around the body. We'll take 4 more breaths here. Once you've finished your 4 breaths, get rid of your strap, but keep it nearby. And let your hands rest by your side. And take 1 deep, big breath through your nose. And sigh. Open your eyes if they were closed. And let's begin some movement. From here, cross your right knee underneath your left knee for Gomukhasana, shape or cow face. So in Gomukhasana, our left knee is stacked on top of the right roughly. This could mean that your left knee is actually miles over to the left. That's fine. If that's the case, just use your props. Prop yourself up. You can either have your heels quite close to your bum here, or if you've got a bit of length in your calves and space in your hips and knees, you can walk your feet a little closer up towards the top of your mat. That is more demanding on the hips. This is a full spectrum class, so we're going to look at the whole body. We're not actually thinking about our hips and our knees right now, so they're coincidental. Okay, from here, take your left hand to your right ear and draw your left ear to your left shoulder. And then walk your right fingertips away from you. Now, usually we elevate the right arm here, but we're going to keep the right hand grounded for tonight. Play with the angle of your head here, maybe dipping your chin, or maybe sending your head back. That's really lovely, everyone. Nice. Okay. One more breath like this, just a short pose. And then release. And then take your hands and clasp them together. Take them to the base of your skull, so just above your neck, and draw your chin towards your chest. Try and avoid caving out through the back of your body. Try and keep your spine quite tall, as if the top part, your cervical spine, is the only part of your neck, or the only part of your spine, sorry, that can bend. Try and release the tension that's creeping up in between your shoulder blades. Soften your shoulders. And release your hands, and we'll swap the legs over straight away. If you need to give them a bit of space and move them, that's fine. Otherwise, take your left knee underneath your right knee, stacking them together, maybe using some props as a support under your right knee. And then decide whether your heels are coming close or far away from your bum. And then from here, take your right hand to your left ear and draw your right ear over to your right shoulder. Keep your left fingers on the floor. They can be in a block if they're not reaching the floor. Maybe crawl them away just a touch so that you can elongate that line of tension from the left ear to the left fingers. And then again, play with the placement of your head, either forwards or backwards or just in line with your shoulder. This is a real jaw clenching pose. I always find that my teeth feel like they tighten up. So if you're in the same boat, maybe take a yawn or wiggle your jaw. And then from here, release, clasp your hands, take them to the base of your skull. And remember, we're trying to imagine that our whole spine, apart from the top, can't bend. So stay nice and tall and then dip your chin. Your hands are an anchor. Notice how that release of tension is feeling in your body. Does it feel kind of prickly? Or does it feel liquid? Or does it feel very much solid and stiff? Okay, release. And then from here, come onto your belly. Grab your blanket or cushion if you've got one. And come down onto your belly. Coming into just lying down, prone Shavasana for a few breaths. Take your head on top of your hands and then let your hips rest. Let your knees rest, let your feet flop. And let that little micro pose or micro series of poses digest. Okay, push yourself up onto your elbows, taking Sphinx pose briefly. Keeping your blanket nearby. So press your shoulders underneath shoulders on top of your elbows, hands out in front of you as if they're on train tracks with your elbows. And you can have a little bit of space between your feet tonight. So don't need everything to be all tight at the back of the body. Let things be loose. Spread your fingers wide and draw your chest forward. Your head can be dipped here. You can take some movement if that feels good. Or you can lift your gaze if you'd like to have a more intense volume up back bend. Keep allowing your breath to circulate. Don't forget those poses that we started with. And if you really wrap the strap around tightly, you might still be able to feel a hint of an imprint of your strap on your back. If not, you can imagine it's there. Breathe into the strap, into the sides of your chest, into the back of your body. From Sphinx, we're going to come to lie down on our bellies, but we're going to need that blanket or pillow. And take your blanket or your pillow to the top left side of your mat, so where your left elbow would rest if you were in Sphinx pose. And then from here, come to lie down with your hands underneath your head and your elbows pointing out to the sides of the room. Now from here, extend your left hand across that pillow or blanket so that your left shoulder has got the cushion or the blanket underneath it. So it's supported. Now this in itself, this is a multi-stage pose. This in itself is number one. You can stay here because that's opening up the shoulder heaps. Or you can take your right hand down to the ground underneath your shoulder and then roll gently over to the left hand side. So you're rolling onto your left hip. I know for some of us this is going to be quite dramatic. So if it doesn't feel great, come back to the first option. Now from here, you can either bend your knees and stack your knees on top of one another and release your head to the floor. Or you can straighten your legs, bend your right knee and take your right foot back behind you. So those of you who do vinyasa, it's as if you're in a fallen wild thing. If you can, try and rest your left ear on the floor. And your left palm is facing down, but you can explore sending your left palm, facing your left palm up to the ceiling if that feels better. You're going to get more of an opening if you have your left palm down to the ground. There is a final option if you have quite open shoulders and you'd like to explore something else. You can flip your left palm so it faces up to the ceiling, and you can reach your right hand back in space and clasp onto your left hand. Last week we talked about how you can lose your hand in poses like this, and I always lose my hand. Let's see how you're getting on. Perfect. Yeah, nice. And I can see those of you who are not enjoying it, it's very obvious. So if you are persevering, avoid that. Come back to the first option. Make your own adjustments in your class. Yeah, perfect. Let your breath reach into the back of your body, into the sides of your body. Let your breath reach into your left shoulder. Okay. Not here for long. Let's unravel from the pose and come into child's pose with our arms backwards. And you can use this little pillow that you happen to have for your head here, if that feels nice. So instead of extending our arms for child's pose, we're going to send our hands back towards our heels and let our shoulders drape over our knees. Again, notice what's happening in your body. How are you adjusting to not being in that pose? What temperature are you feeling in your left shoulder? Is it spicy hot or is it super cold? Sometimes coming out of a big, intense pose like that feels like having a big cold glass of water poured all over that part of the body. Okay. Push yourself back up onto your knees and then set yourself up for the second side. So the blanket or pillow is going to go over to the right side of your mat now. And when you come to lie down, you want your shoulder to be on that blanket. So I'll show you the second side if you were confused about what was going on. So coming to lie down now, your right shoulder is on the blanket. I'll take my mic off. And you can stay here with your right arm extended and your left hand underneath your head. Option number 1. Option number 2, take your left hand underneath your left shoulder, roll over onto your right hip, and draw your knees into your chest. Letting your right ear come to the floor. And then option number 3 is this kind of collapsed wild thing. Extend your right leg, take your left foot back behind you. You can actually, I can see a couple of you are using a block underneath your head. That's a great idea. It takes a lot of pressure off the shoulder. And the final option for those of you that really like the fire, turn your right palm up to the sky, reach your left hand back in space, try and grab onto your hands. Personally, I can only really manage about 4 breaths here. So if you're in that camp, then listen to your body and come out when you're ready. Staying for another 2 breaths. Once you've finished that second breath, we're going to take child's pose once again. Some of you might enjoy just staying on your belly instead though, so maybe choose the one that feels most natural as a rebound pose for you. So either child's pose or prone shavasana.
I definitely encourage some big sighs here. Get rid of any residual tension in the shoulders. You know how when a dog sits down on a bed and it's like it's had the hardest day of its life, it makes that big sigh noise. That's the noise you should be making right now to get rid of all the tension. Okay, press yourself back up
Onto your knees and take a wee seat. We're going to get all the props this time. So if you've got a bolster, you're golden, you can just use that. If you've got pillows and blankets, grab them. And we're going to set them up to the right side of our body. Well, let's face the left side of our mat and set the props up on the right side of our body. Okay. Some of you might not need props at all, but it's nice to start with them and then take away. So from here, come into a loose cross leg position. So your right thigh is beside your props. And then from here, take your left foot back in space towards your left heel, left bum, so that we're in deer pose. So we got this zigzag, right foot's coming towards the insides of our left thigh, and our left foot is coming back in space behind us. I know that this is not a favorite pose for lots, but don't worry, we won't be here for long. From here, notice if you need to lift your bum up onto something, maybe a wee blanket as a support underneath you so that you've got your sit bones nice and rooted. And then take your right hand back behind you and take your left hand to your right knee. So taking a big old twist. Try and soften your shoulder as you do so. Yeah, so the twist is coming from the belly rather than the shoulders. Yep, good adjustment. Nice. Now from here, start to make your way down onto your forearms over to the right hand side. Now your left hip's obviously going to come off the floor here. So if you've got a prop underneath you, that's going to shift. Yeah, if you've got a bolster, you can really hug it. If you're able to come to your forearms, you can play with taking your elbows to the ground and then resting your head in your hands. Or you might be able to pancake, come all the way down to the ground. Don't worry about what your left hip is doing. Just try and get the twist in your belly. Nice. And for those of you that are feeling quite tight in this configuration, you can shift where your torso is lying, and you can shift your props and your torso slightly over to the left so that your body is more kind of on top of your right thigh. So you're coming into a kind of a wonky pigeon pose. I don't know if that's going to be a useful cue for some of you. Yeah, give it a shot. Otherwise, continue to drape your body over towards the right side. If you need to give your left heel a bit of space from your bum, you can stretch your left foot away from you a little. You're finding that your shoulders are taking a lot of weight. Try and renegotiate your props so that that's not the case. Maybe piling your props up high so that your head can rest and your shoulders can be kind of out of the picture. Instead of thinking of how your body is feeling right now, try and shift your awareness to how you are actually feeling emotionally. So often when we are asked how we are feeling, fine is the go-to answer, or good. And those are pretty average answers that don't really explain how we are feeling. And it might be that right now you're feeling a pretty nothing emotion. Boredom is a classic one that crops up in yin. But maybe there's something else going on. Regardless of what that feeling is, instead of delving into it, be mindful and just notice that that's how you are feeling right now. Okay, from here, push yourself back up, gently, gently. Take a little counter twist over to the left-hand side, just using your hands to draw you around. And then from here, extend your left foot. If you're in a weird position now in your room, feel free to shimmy yourself around so you're back on your mat. So your right foot is still on the inside of your left leg. You can grab your props again if you want to and put them on the inside of your left leg. From here, we're going to start lowering ourselves over the left leg, so the extended leg. You can take your props on top of your leg if you want to, and you can start to drape yourself here, maybe cradling your head. You can also use your props underneath your left leg as a little height, which feels so nice. You will notice that the left side of your body is probably going to feel quite exposed here because it's just had a lot of twist going into it. So if you feel lopsided, that's the intention. You can reach your hands towards your left foot if that feels good. you'd like to turn the heat up, you can take your right foot on top of your left thigh for a little half lotus shape. If you notice your breath has become shallow or erratic in its pattern, try and sort that out by taking really deep, measured breaths. Same length of inhale as exhale. One more breath here. Slowly push yourself back up. Now from here, if you've got your props handy, take them underneath your knees and come to lie down on your back. So you've just got a slight elevation in your knees. Let your hands rest by your side. And let the left side of your body feel really weird and long. If you want to encourage that width of breath we were exploring earlier, you can take your hands to your rib cage just as your strap was. You can feel your breath expand. Slowly make your way back up onto your bum so your legs are extended. Take your time. Nice, okay, we'll do the same series on the second side. So we figure out where our props need to be. Maybe just swap them over. So this time the left knee is bent, left foot comes to the inside of your right thigh and your right foot is towards your heels. We're going to twist to the left. So make sure your props are on the left side of your body. So remember, you can lift your pelvis here. You can sit on a little block or something. Oh, it feels so much better actually. Nice. Okay, now from here, take your gentle twist first of all to the left. So take your right hand to your left leg and your left hand back behind you. So we're allowing our torso to kind of twist over to the left side of the room. And now from here, once you've got that shape in your body, start to drape yourself over your props. Maybe removing any props underneath you. Nice. And you will find that one side is more accessible than the other. So if you're feeling like this is suddenly a different pose, it's just because that hip or that side of your body's a little tighter. Well, Guy is doing something very interesting in the background that bolster owners might be interested in. He's got the bolster underneath his head here, and he's just doing a gentle twist. So if you have a bolster or even a chair nearby, that might be quite a nice option. Now remember, you can shift around in this pose until you're comfortable. So you can extend your right leg if you want to. You can take your weight over the front of your left knee instead, so that you've got more of a pigeon shape. Definitely don't allow your body to sit in discomfort or pain. If you, like me, have a massive bruise on your left backside from sledging, you can use a cushion or a blanket underneath any part of the ground, any part of the body that's in contact with the ground and is feeling a little achy. How are you feeling this time round? Has anything shifted? Or has any emotion intensified or softened? Two more breaths like this. You're doing well. Use your exhale to bring you back up. And then we're going to keep that left foot on the inside of the right leg. Extend your right leg. If you need to shift your body around, that's fine. Okay. And once you are set up, with your right leg extended this time, take your props either on top of your right leg or underneath your right leg and begin your forward fold over the right leg. So hopefully things should start to feel a little more, I'm hesitant to use the word symmetrical because we're not symmetrical, but slightly more even in our body. Any tension that we felt on the left side should now be balanced out with the right side. Remember, after a few breaths, if you're wanting to turn up the volume, you can either reach towards your foot and pull back on your toes, or you can take your left foot on top of your right thigh for half lotus pose. It's always good to know that intensity isn't necessarily what you want to access in yoga. Sometimes we just want a really soft, gentle class. One more breath here. Maybe see if you can find your edge in that last breath, taking yourself a little lower. And as you exhale, draw yourself back up to a seat. And this time we'll take Happy Baby as our rebound. So move your props out the way, come to lie down on your back. Of options for Happy Baby. Hug your knees into your chest, and you can just hang onto the back of your knees if that feels all right. If you'd like to get a slightly more intense stretch, you can send your feet to the sky, reach your hands between your legs, and then grab onto the outside of your feet. If you find that your shoulders or your head bob up off the floor in Happy Baby, you can take something underneath them. Movement is always welcome, but you can stay static if that feels better. Two more breaths and Happy Baby. Okay. As you have done your second breath, release your feet back down to the ground. And then from here, very gently, very slowly roll yourself up to a seat. Take your time, try not to bring any energy back into this. We're going to finish off tonight with Supta Baddha Konasana, which is such a favorite. And there's a heap of ways that you can modify it for your body and what you want. We haven't done back bends tonight because I wanted to keep things quite low level. But if you feel like I know a lot of people love a back bend in this class. So if you're in that category, we can set our props up so that you've either got a support, like a supported back bend with a block underneath your bum, or something I've been playing with recently is just setting up like a little mini bed for the top part of my body so that I just get this little slant for my bum down at the bottom. So I know you all pretty much well enough now to know that you can be autonomous here. So take your choices with your setups. And to come into the pose, for those of you who aren't sure, we're going to bring our feet to touch with our knees out to the side, and we're going to lie back on either nothing or on your pillows, or again, if you want to, you can lift your bum up. Now, those of you who have a strap, you can use your strap to support you in Happy Baby, and if you know how to do that, go for it. If you're not sure, I'll give you a quick little demo. So to support your feet and your hips in Happy Baby, take your strap around your lower spine. It's probably easier if you start seated. Take your strap around your lower spine and then clasp or tie your strap underneath your feet. So if you notice, the strap goes around the back of my body, across the top of my legs, and then slings underneath my feet. So if you want to take that feels insanely lovely as you come to lie down. And if that's not your bag, you can just lay here without a strap, or you can use some props to keep your knees supported. There you go, there's 12 million options for you all. It's always better to have more options than no options, I think. Now, anyone that is confused, just put a wee message in the box and I'll let you know. Otherwise, get yourself nice and sorted. Oh, Kirsty, you've always got such a good setup for this. Let your hands rest where it feels appropriate for them, by your sides, overhead, wrapping around your body, on your belly, whatever is good. Lovely, Susan. If you're not using a strap, remember that the closer your feet are to your groin, the more intense it is in the hips. So if you want a softer pose, push your feet away. If you want a more intense pose, draw your feet in. At the beginning of class, we were noticing our breath and then our body. And then we went on to notice our emotions and feelings. And at this point, I want you to notice and not interact with, but notice your thoughts. So maybe what you're going to have for dinner, or what you're going to do in work tomorrow. Notice that you have these thoughts buzzing in your head, and that's fine. And instead of interacting with the thoughts, label them as something really simple. So this thought is organizing. This thought is imagining. And let that labeling be the only interaction you have with that thought, and then just let it evaporate once you've labeled it. In about 4 breaths, we're going to start transitioning to Shavasana. This can be your shape. If you want to stay here, stay here. If you want to stretch out, stretch out. I'll let you count your breaths and I'll let you drift yourself into Shavasana. If you're wanting to come back into the room, feel free. If you'd like to drift off, stay exactly as you are. Leave you now, everybody. It's a lovely practice as always. Lots of love.